Hello, hello. I'm Matt here with Three Skulls Tavern, and apologies for being a little bit late. I just had a few technical difficulties to sort out. But yeah, I'm here to continue my Mutant Year Zero solo campaign. I have been spending the last couple of hours kind of scrubbing things, adding some bits in so it's a bit easier to reference things and look things up. And yeah, I'm in a pretty good spot now. So there's a couple of things to kind of talk about before I get started. That is, all the stuff I'm going to be using here are available online, either for free or for a small fee. When I say the small fee, that's basically the Mutant Year Solo. In fact, I'm going to just bring this up quickly. The supplement that I'm using for this is called Mutant Year Solo. Oh my god. It's available on DriveThruRPG, which is the link I'm bringing up right now. It's by Peter Rudden Burgess. Yeah, and it's what I'm using to run this solo campaign. Peter has made a bunch of solo supplements for a huge variety of games. So he's kind of pretty proficient in terms of churning out the various supplements for games so you can play them solo. Anyway, I have that open here in Acrobat, which I'm just going to bring. I've got it in the wrong window, so you can actually see it here. So I've got the Mutant Year Zero core rulebook here, which I'll be kind of referencing if I need to as I'm playing, and I've got the solo Mutant Year Solo here as well. Yeah, the other stuff I'm using, so I'm going to just close that down very quickly. Links to all these that I'm talking about are in the video as well. The other big things I'm using are this spreadsheet called... I've created this spreadsheet, basically. It has a little bit of info on the front, which is... actually links to everything I'm using here, including the solo rules, all the other stuff I'm going to be talking about in a minute. But this one basically has my character sheet here. It has an arc sheet here. It has an NPC sheet where I can keep track of NPCs. It has a scrap generating table using a spreadsheet, which is available at this link here. So this is stuff that other people in the community have created, which I'm using. There's a plot generator for both in the zone and specifically for my. This says gearhead. I didn't go for a gearhead. I went for a stalker, which is a bit unusual. So I probably need to change that because I've got gearhead plots here, but I wanted stalker plots. Yeah, so that's a bit of an issue there. So I'm going to have to change that. I won't be using this, so I'll just highlight this and say... don't know, I didn't see that before. There should be stalker plots because I'm playing a stalker. Anyway, there's a website here where you can go and find various plots for the specific role that you're using. I've added this in since. It doesn't look too pretty at the moment because I've kind of copied the formatting from this one and I've just deleted the kind of radiation symbols. But it's basically arc events and zone events which are in the book. I'm gonna get rid of these because these are actually just taken from the book. So for example, out in the zone, I might generate an NPC is in trouble, and I've kind of reworded all of them from the book. There's 10 in the book for each of these, and I've kind of pruned the list a little bit, so there's 1 or 2 missing from each of these, which are basically around PC versus PC. Obviously playing solo that doesn't happen. And I've reworded them slightly so they're more like prompts for solo play rather than what's actually written in the book, which is guidelines for a GM to use them in a game. Yeah. And I've got my journal. And my journal so far is what I've been... basically, each line is basically me just writing what's been happening. We had a single day in my previous session, my prologue. I'll talk about what happened there in a minute after I finish going through the tools I'm using. So this is where I'm keeping track of everything that happens. I'm kind of journaling it in here, in this journal. To keep track of the map, which is really important at Mutant Year Zero, I have this map of Stockholm, which is what I'm using. This is the official Stockholm map, which I've translated into English with Free League's permission. And yeah, I've not gotten very far. I believe I'm in C22 right now, which is the museum. I spent the night in there. So yeah, my arc is up here in B21. I came down like this, across, down, and back up. That's all I did previously. And yeah, as I go, basically you can double click on a map, on a sector here. You can roll randomly to generate what's inside of there, then save it, and it will uncover it as you go. which is kind of nice. I have a Miro board. Miro is like a digital whiteboard, and I've been kind of putting stuff in here, updating it a little bit. So this section on the left is kind of screenshots and information from Mutant Years Solo that I want to reference. So things like tables, very quickly the kind of yes/no oracle, how you roll them, how you interpret the roll, what a complication is, which is kind of important. Then I've got here the development levels for the arc when that becomes applicable. At the moment, it's not that applicable. This here is the rot. Kind of, it's like a handout for what rot means in the zone. So I'm actually going to put that here. So this thing here is basically about my arc. This is more about the zone. I'll probably move this around a little bit later. This is a clock just to measure the time of day. It's 8 a.m. right now, I'm kind of saying. Yeah. And I'll be referencing this from time to time and adding to it. So this will kind of be like my play board, my GM screen, however you want to call it, where I'll be kind of putting important things in there as I need them. I'm going to be rolling in Discord. So I've got Discord open here, and I can basically use Sabotage, which is a free Discord bot roller specifically for Mutant Year Zero and a bunch of your other games by the Year Zero that use the Year Zero engine. So yeah, I used this for my last solo session, and I'll be using it again today. And last but not least, I don't know if I'm going to be using it, but there is a new link here for something called the GM's Apprentice. This is amazing, actually. This is a web app which allows you to generate a bunch of solo oracles and all sorts of stuff. And it taps into things like Ironsworn. You can generate quests, dungeons, traps, etc. It's based on a product that you can buy on DriveThruRPG called the GM's Apprentice, or the GM's Apprentice deck, which is a deck of cards. And yeah, it's a really interesting way of kind of using some random oracles. And I thought I might use it if I need to. It's got things like this mythic event generator, which are things like actions and subjects, which can be quite good. So like postpone environment if I reroll. We've got abuse wishes, and yeah, just an interesting way to kind of come up with different different oracle prompts. What I also like about it is that it has this sound, sight, feeling, and smell stuff in it. Now, this isn't specific to post-apocalyptic genre. I actually have, because I've bought quite a number of these decks, they come with JPEGs for virtual tabletop use. And on my phone, I found an app. I'm an Android user, and I found an app. I'm going to kind of flash it up here quickly, called Custom Image Dice. It looks like that. And on here, I can load in any deck of cards I want. And so, for example, I have these loaded, these GM Apprentice decks that look like that. So I can actually kind of use the main deck if I want to. What I haven't done is I haven't uploaded the post-apocalyptic deck. I'm not even sure I actually bought that. Let me have a quick look. GM Apprentice deck. Yeah, I'll just type that in. So yeah, this anyway is the kind of the base deck, and things like you hear a zap, you see a crack running through something, a stomach tilting lurch, etc. Those are all kind of quite interesting, quite flavorful. So I'm not logged in. Why am I not logged in? Anyway, I'll just quickly show it. Steampunk. I believe there's a post-apocalyptic one. Anyway. They're not all here, which is interesting. Sure there's more. It doesn't look like there's a post-apocalyptic one, so I guess it would kind of be the sci-fi one, but this also isn't necessarily. I do have the sci-fi one. It's not really post-apocalyptic. So anyway, doesn't matter. I may or may not be using this. I've included a link in the description here. Hey, Rodders. Yeah, Rodders is Rodrigo in the chat is just confirming that he doesn't think there's a post-apocalyptic one anyway either. So that's cool. I may need it. I may use it. I may not. It just really depends on how I feel. If the tables in Mutant Years Solo aren't quite giving me enough information, I want to use something else. This has a ton of stuff in it that can help. So that's me. That's me done with my little pitch. So let's talk quickly about what happened. I'll walk through my journal from before. But basically, I started the first session with an event, and the event I did, which you're supposed to do, is you draw a threat for the arc that you start off in. I have a deck of threat cards, and I drew one that is called Starfall. Starfall basically means I witness a falling star which crashed off somewhere to the west. Now, interestingly, that worked out really perfectly with the map I've uploaded, because if I quickly do that, this is what the Stockholm map looks like, and I started myself off on the east kind of side of the map on this kind of island here in Stockholm. And so it's kind of crashed over here somewhere off to the west, and so I need to get off of my little island somehow and get over there. And that was kind of what I was doing previously, trying to find a boat, not finding a boat. We didn't have a boat for some reason on our arc. I'm not really sure why that's the case. But yeah, that was the big thing. That's prompting me to leave the arc and to try and go off in that direction. So the first thing that happened is I encountered some people when I first went to the south. There were 3 people. I decided to avoid them, stay low, not to actually go and have a chat with them. Eavesdropped on them, and it turns out that they were talking about a strange creature that they'd managed to trap and were inflicting cruel punishment on it. I avoided them. I didn't actually try and talk to them. Left the zone, which was also had a high amount of rot in it. Found a museum in the next zone. The museum had a comic book inside, so this is an artifact. I have an artifact deck here where I can draw artifacts. I drew the comic book artifact, which can increase the culture of my zone if I hand it in. Otherwise, it's not really of much use to me. We kind of figured out at the end of the stream that it was a Donald Duck comic, because Donald Duck comics are really popular in Northern Europe. Yeah, anyway. I also found the staked corpse of a crocodile man, which appeared to have been partially eaten. So that was the strange creature that these people have been talking about. I then entered a new zone off to the south. I discovered a tank with an MMO cube inside. I used this MMO cube, and it basically records somebody's memories, and I took some wits damage by doing that, but I learned of a person who had used it recently and had found a weird sinkhole somewhere. Anyway, there was also an odd mutant in that zone wearing bizarre scraps of clothes. I decided to avoid them from the book. It was a scrap oracle. I then spent an hour looking for a boat along the coast in that zone and couldn't find any signs, so in the end I went back to the previous sector to where the museum was and decided to sleep for the night. However, I woke up in the morning, and so this is C22 I'm talking about. Went back in there to where the museum was and slept overnight. At some point during the I woke up. I wasn't disturbed. I woke up in the morning, and somebody had been kind of walking around the museum, including in the room next to mine, or maybe even in the room that I had been in. Came close to where I was sleeping, but they didn't disturb me. Not sure who that could have been. So that's kind of this new sort of plot that's entered. So in fact, I'm going to enter it here and say stranger in the night. Someone came close to me while I was sleeping, but didn't disturb me. They also didn't steal anything, so it's kind of unusual that this was happening. I don't know who it's, possibly an ally. I don't know who it was, but it was kind of human footprints. I'm not going to talk about the other people who had kind of killed this or staked out this other corpse. We'll see what happens with that. But that's basically it. We said with day 2, we ended it kind of, I'm not sure when I put this in. I listened to my previous episode and didn't really see this too clearly, but it basically said I woke up the next morning, cooked the grub I'd found the night before, which gave me 5 grub, but couldn't shake the thought of someone watching me in my sleep, which also reduced my wits down by 1. And that's where we've left it. So if we look at my stats right now, when I sleep, I recover my wits. So my wits went back up even though I had taken wits damage from looking at this MMO cube. But having thought about this person kind of watching me while I slept, has caused me a little bit of stress. So I've gone back down, and that's where I've left it. So this is Hamed's tale, and we're going to continue it on. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over to Mutant Years to this Miro board, and it's the morning. I've said I've cooked some grub, and yeah, I'm kind of going to say, I'm just going to move the clock forward a bit and say it's gotten to that sort of 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, it's the summer, right? It's the summer in Sweden, so if I'm waking up in the morning, I'm probably getting up fairly early. So let's just to make it nice and simple, we'll say I'm ready to go by 8 a.m. Yeah, so what am I gonna do? I'm gonna continue on my way. So I'm gonna pack all of my stuff together into my bag, and I wanna kind of set out and try and find a boat still. So I'm gonna head off to the next zone, the next sector, which is off to my east here, because I've kind of searched the coastline so far around my arc, and I haven't seen anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the next zone sector here. The first thing I do, if I bring up the book here, is when you enter a new zone, zone travel. First thing you do when you enter a new zone is you roll one of your skills, which only the Stalker has. Thankfully, that's kind of the reason why I took a Stalker to start off with. I have this skill called Find the Path. Now I'm going to roll that now. Using this thing here, so it's roll 1, no, it's 4 base and 2 skill dice. Okay, I've got 2 successes. Now, do I want to push that or not? If I look again at my character sheet, it's an agility thing. I need that to shoot. If I want to use my bow, I don't have any melee weapons, so really shooting is kind of important, so I don't want to risk injuring myself to get more successes, especially this early. So I'm not going to push that. I think 2 successes is pretty good. So we're going to keep that as it is. I've got, yeah, I've got 2 successes. Do I want to push it? It's always the question. Always the question. I might need some willpower points. Yeah, we're going to push it. Okay. I pushed it. Nothing. It didn't actually help. I didn't get any 1s or bad, like the 1s on the base dice, so it's okay. So yeah, I've got 2 successes. Now, when I go back to look at what that means, we go back here to the core rulebook, come over here to skills with Find the Path. And with the single success, I find a safe path and spot any threats in the zone before they spot me. So that's the first thing. I'll be able to spot the threats and decide how to deal with them. For every extra success I roll, I can choose something. And the thing I'm going to choose is probably to... I'm probably going to use my talent. My talent is to do with rot. So I can assess the general level of rot in the sector, but I have a talent called... It has something to do with rot, I believe. I think that's the one I took. Where am I going? Rot Finder. When using Find a Path, you have access to a new stunt that you can choose when you roll extra 6s to find the most rot-free route through the sector. This counts as 1 step lower during this visit to the sector. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to reduce... Well, it depends on... I guess it depends on the level of rot. Like, the idea here is that I'm trying to reduce it. And this is something I've been sure about, is do I want to actually do this a bit metagamey and roll up all, like, what the rot level is first and then decide? And I think that's probably how I would do it. I'm going to hit the roll button anyway. So I'm going to do that. Click roll. It has a weak rot level, so I'm actually not going to spend that one now to reduce it down to an oasis. That level's not really going to cause me any problems. The threat level is 3, and the threat is zone rats. Bloody zone rats. I ran a play-by-post Mutant Year Zero game with some other people last year, I think it was. And the first sector they went into had zone rats, and they engaged with them, and it basically nearly wiped out the entire party. Yeah, Rodders was one of the players in that. So, not that my character is, I'm playing somebody who is an experienced stalker who probably knows about zone rats. Zone rats are pretty standard. We've got the environment being crumbling ruins, and that there's the ruins of a hunting store here, which is interesting. And it says here, there's a description there if I want to go into the hunting store. However, the big question here is, I've got to explore the zone. I can see that there's a threat, that there's some zone rats. So what I'm going to do is I see them before they see me. So I'm going to, I'm just going to imagine that there are some rats in these ruins. They're kind of going in and out of buildings and stuff, but they're kind of staying together as like a swarm. And I'm kind of laying low and watching them from a distance. And then when I think that they're not nearby, I'm going to go try and get into this hunting store, right? So the first thing I'm going to do before I read what this says about the hunting store, so I'm just going to click there, save. I'm not sure why that's not... Oh, click here that it's explored, and then it's going to open it up for me, hopefully. Yeah, so now it's been explored. I'm going to roll to see, roll my stealth, basically, to see if I can sneak past these rats without them seeing me. Sneak is another agility roll, and I don't have anything that can kind of help me. I don't have any talents. I don't have any gear that can help me with sneaking, so it's just going to be, again, a 4 and a 2, which is not too bad odds-wise. So I'm just going to copy what I've got here, paste it in again. Same stats. Okay. Now, if I try and... I've got 1 success, but if I try and push this, I'm going to take 2 agility damage, but also get 2 willpower points. I'm not prepared to do that. So 1 success hopefully will be enough. What I now need to do is I need to roll for the to see if the zone rats spot me. So we're gonna go here to threats in the zone. We're gonna open it up and go to monsters, and we're gonna look for zone rats. There they are. So zone rats have... Okay, they only have strength and agility. So not wits. So I guess for something that is just like a creature in the zone, I'm just going to treat it like you just need a success to sneak past them. So I'm sneaking past them. That's fine. They didn't have a skill either that said something like I'm trying to remember what the skill is called here. Wits scout, I believe you roll scout. So if they had like a scout skill, then maybe I would roll that for them. But you can see here it says attributes. There's nothing there. Yeah. So it's like zone dogs, for example. Yeah, it's interesting that they don't actually roll anything. So I'm just gonna play it like that. I'm gonna say. Sorry, let me just read the chat here because there's been a bit happening. Fenhorn, you can perhaps handle it if you use the Forbidden Land Swarm rule that you can hit a swarm with any weapon only 1 damage, unless you have a flamethrower or something. Yeah, that's probably what I would do here, just because it's deadly enough with only 1 person. In this game, the only way you can handle a swarm, and I know this as a GM, not actually, maybe don't know this in game, is if you have fire, and fire is the only way to do damage to a swarm. In Forbidden Lands, they've kind of expanded on that a bit, made it a little bit less deadly, and said the maximum damage you can ever do to a swarm if you're successful in hitting them is 1 damage. And so, depending on how much health they have, it might take a little while to kind of wear them down. So yeah, I probably would play it that way. Anyway, I'm going to avoid these rats. I have avoided them so far. I've snuck into this hunting store. What do I find in the hunting store then? So we're going to open up Find My Path again. We're going to have a little look here. And it says, among the decrepit shelves in this place, you can find fishing poles, hooks, and lines. A skilled stalker can use these items to find edible fish in the zone waters. Okay, so I'm going to grab those. We're going to put in here fishing gear. And I'm going to make it take up an entire like line of encumbrance. So here we're going to put 11 fishing, line, and tackle. And does it say it's going to give me a bonus? It says I can use them to find a fish. So it's probably, if anything, it would give me like a +1. Usually you want things to... Most of the stuff usually gives you a bonus. And that's because it then has a chance to break. It needs to have a bonus so that if you push it, it can break and it's useless. You can't use it anymore, or you have to get it repaired. On the walls, yellowed pictures of rifles hang. In one corner, there's a heavy metal locker tall as a mutant. Perhaps there's something valuable in there. Interesting. I'm going to try and pick this. I'm going to try and pick this metal locker and see what's inside. And what I'll do is I'll use the scrap table, not the artifact table, to see what's inside. So again, I've got to come over here. Now this doesn't have a like sleight of hand skill. Sneak isn't used for that. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to try and force it open using my strength. The problem is, I think if I would say if I do that, I'm going to have to consult the oracle to see if the rats hear me. But this is going to be kind of interesting. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say, let's roll that. So I'm going to roll, because I think the rats are far enough away, I can probably force this open without too much noise, maybe. 4 base damage. I'm not using anything to help me do this. I've succeeded. So I said again on a fail. Well, no, I said if I did it, I'm going to roll to consult the oracle. So we'll be checking that in a second. First, let's quickly see what I found in there as I pop it open. We're going to go over here to scrap. I'm going to copy this cell. I'm going to paste it in here and see what I find. A bicycle chain. I'm going to take that. That could be useful. There's a bicycle chain in a really tall in a really tall box. Maybe there's something else. I'm going to spend my extra success to say that I found some artifacts. There are no artifacts, so that doesn't work. We'll say I find bullets. Why not? I'm flush with grub and water right now, so I'm going to find the bullets. So I find 6 bullets in this... I'm in a hunting store, so that kind of makes sense. There's some bullets in this locked case. So, whoops, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to go to my gear, and I'm going to add another 6 bullets onto here. So I've got 11 bullets now. And I've got, under tiny, I've got a bicycle chain. Yeah, so Rodders is saying, have the rats hear me on a fail. That's something worth thinking about. Yeah. Yeah, Fenhorn's saying that Mutant Year Zero had a lot of player-facing stuff, so you don't necessarily roll for people to hear you on a sneaking roll. I thought you did that with people, though. So if I was, like, sneaking past a guard, I would have the guard roll something. But that's probably just memory. We'll come to that again. I can look that up later. Anyway, it doesn't matter for things like the rats. I don't need to worry about that. Okay, so we're going to say, I think I'm going to go with what Rodder suggested there and just say the rats only would have heard me on a fail. I succeeded, so I managed to pop that open, you know, in a kind of not too loud way. And yeah, I'm going to continue on my... I found the bullets that were in there. There's no coastline in here, so this is just like... where is it here? Let's go save, close. Yeah, there's no coastline in here, so I'm going to head south for the next zone. However, the first thing to talk about here is time. So it takes 4 hours to explore a zone. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's now noon. I'm going to eat some grub while I'm on the... actually, I ate some grub in the morning, so that's sorted me for the day. And I would have had some water as well. I think. I might not have had any water. So I'm gonna reduce my water. So I have some water while I'm continuing along my way. But you need to eat and drink at least once every day. In fact, if you're injured, you have to eat even more, I think, in Mutant Year Zero. So I may need to eat more. I might actually just wait with the water until it's time to sleep and then drink something. Because that's kind of how this kind of board gamey element is sort of set up. Anyway, so we're saying it's noon. I'm going to go down to the next sector down. And I'm kind of sneaking through these. I'm sneaking through the ruins. I don't really spot anything else that's worth anything, so that's fine. I'm going to go to the south and see if there's see if I can find a boat now. So once again, I'm going to roll here. Before I hit the roll button, actually, I'm going to roll find the zone again, which is the same dice pool. I haven't pushed anything yet, so I'm okay. No successes. I'm going to push that. And I take I failed. I haven't succeeded at all, and I've taken one agility damage. So we're going to come over here. I'm going to take 1 agility damage, so 1 fatigue. I'm also going to add 1 mutation point, so I've got 4 mutation points now. But that happens every time you push and fail for your attributes. Now this is interesting. I've got the 4 mutation points. Let's just remind myself, so I don't forget about it, what my mutation is. Should be up here somewhere. Sonar. So I have sonar, and I have the card here in front of me as well. But it's basically like I can see in total darkness for a few minutes by using my sonar. I can stun enemies up to short range by blasting them with sound. Or I can disrupt somebody who's shooting at me at short distance. So that's kind of how it works. Kind of a good defensive one. Yeah. Cool. So I've failed. What does that mean exactly? That means if there's any threats in the zone, I'm not going to see them before they're there. So I'm just going to open this up again. It doesn't like stop me from going into the zone. It just means I'm not going to be prepared. I'm kind of stumbling in. Yeah. Failure. Any NPCs or monsters in this sector are going to spot me before I spot them, and if hostile, they might ambush me. So let's find out what the threats are. I'm going to roll. Boom. Okay, we've got the threat level is 7. The threat is a mud puddle, so I'm going to stumble into this mud puddle before I realize what it is. This kind of seems interesting. Again, we've got rot level of 1, so this is going to be fine as long as I don't spend too long in here. Again, here, rot level 1. I get I get 1 rot point every day I spend in there. So as long as I'm kind of passing through, it should be fine. In theory, if I'm spending my entire day passing through rot zones of level 1 or higher, I should get 1 rot point, right? Because I've been exposed to at least 1 level of rot. Something to think about. But yeah, anyway. Cool. Let me look up what a mud puddle is all about. So I'm going to come over here to my core rulebook. I'm going to come down here to threats. It's not a monster. This is a phenomenon. So if I go to... oh god, where'd it go? Threats in the zone, phenomena. There it is. Mud puddles. So I'm not going to try and look at anything else other than mud puddles. I'm going to start reading directly what it says here. This foggy area is covered by large puddles of thick, warm mud. There is solid ground underneath the mud, but it will reach to the knees of anyone who walks through. So I've walked into this. In addition, there are hidden wells of steaming hot water in some places. Walking through the area risks triggering geysers of hot water scalding everyone nearby. Well, I've started trudging through it before I've kind of realized, oh, this is kind of warm. So, the effect. A PC who successfully scouts here will notice bubbles and steam coming out of the mud at certain locations. So I guess I'm rolling scout. I've got taken one wits damage already. So let's have a look here. I've got a 2 for here. I've got 2 and 1. So it's not great odds. So we're going to roll 2 base, 1 skill. Right. I'm not going to push that because it's kind of as I see it, a passive roll, and I don't really generally believe in pushing passive rolls. Yeah, I don't really notice that. So wading through the air requires a know the zone roll. Failure means triggering a steam geyser. So I'm going to roll know the zone. Again, there's a lot of rolling at the moment, which is kind of interesting. But it's basically, I've wandered into this. I've basically walked into this. I haven't really noticed that these things are happening, and now I'm going to roll know the zone. In fact, I think know the zone is only if I've spotted it, actually. Walking through the air requires a know the zone roll. Failure means triggering one. Okay, so I'm not aware of where I am exactly. So let's look at know the zone. It's exactly the same roll as before. 2 and 1. I'm not going to push this one either. It's also a failure. So failure means I trigger one. So I trigger a geyser. Oh my god. Roll 6 base dice to attack everyone within near distance. Every success rolled inflicts 1 point of damage. So let's roll 6 base dice. Alright, I'm taking, I guess I'm wandering into a geyser here. So roll 6 base dice. I take 1 point of damage as a geyser explodes near me as I'm kind of trudging through this mud. Oh shit! Alright. 1 damage. I'm slowly taking damage here. All good. Because this is normal damage, you only take I don't get a mutation point for that. That only happens when I've pushed a roll. Okay, what else does it say here? Armor has normal effect. I'm not wearing any armor. Anyone who suffers 1 or more also gets 1 rot point. So I get a rot point. Staying in this area has 1 useful effect. The hot steam keeps the area warm and thus protects against severe cold. It's the summertime, so I'm shit out of luck there. Yeah, so I take 1 more rot as well, which is not great. Because I already had 4. And I believe every time you take a rot point, you also roll your current rot. I'm just going to double check this to see if you take any strength damage. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. It's under zone travel, the rot. And it's on this page here, isn't it? A rot attack. This is called a rot attack. Every time you suffer a rot point, you must immediately roll a number of base dice equal to your total amount. For every 1 you roll, you suffer a point of damage, strength damage. Okie dokie. This is good luck to me here. I've got 5, so I'm rolling 5 base damage. I'm just going to double check that as 5. Yep. Alright. I don't want any of these 1s. Okay, I take 1 damage. So I'm at 2 damage here. As it explodes with hot water out of this geyser, which is also radiated. So yeah, not good. I also failed my roll, so I'm struggling like through this pile of mud. It's unscathed ruins, so these ruins are pristine other than this mud. There's a bus station there, but you know, I'm just kind of, there's this mud. These mud puddles are everywhere, so I'm just trying to get the hell out of here. However, let's see if I can make it to the coast. What's on the coast? Yeah, there's a coastline here. So I'm going to ask the Oracle to find out, you know, whether, I'm going to ask the Oracle, is there a boat somewhere along this coast as I make my way to the coast? I need to remember to fill in my journal. I'll do this as soon as I've rolled my Oracle. So to roll the Oracle, what you do is you roll 6 base dice. And the results in terms of how many 6s and how many 1s are rolled determine what the answer is. So again, I'm asking if there's a boat here. And I want successes. Holy shit, 4 successes. I rolled D instead of base, but it doesn't matter. It's still the same thing. It's 6 dice. 4 successes. So that's really good news. So there's definitely a boat here. So I'm just gonna quickly go over here to Miro, and what the results mean. It means yes and if you get 3 or more successes. So yes and means it's a good result, and it means you get some sort of additional benefit. With 4 successes out of 6 dice is, yeah, it's really good. So I'm gonna say not only is it a boat, it's not a paddle boat. I'm gonna say it's a motorboat, which still has petrol in it. So this possibly belongs to somebody that has left it here, and I don't know where they are, but they're not here at the moment. And yeah, I'm able to take this thing and use it. So this is great news. I found the boat I was looking for. Right, I'm going to stop right here before I go any further. I'm going to start updating my journal. So the journal is going to be, the first thing I did is entered a zone to the west. Found a hunting store amongst crumbling ruins. However, zone rats kept me anxious, and I moved quickly on after finding fishing equipment, fishing gear, and 6 bullets. Heading south, I stumbled into some strange warm mud puddles, triggered a steaming geyser, however you pronounce that word, I'm not sure, and took 1 damage and took 2 damage from the rot and a point of rot. Things weren't shaping, the day wasn't shaping up all too great. I ignored the pristine bus station as it was surrounded by the weird mud and made my way to the coast. To my surprise and delight, I found a motorboat with a full tank of petrol and in pristine condition. Before the owner could come back, I jumped in, fired it up, and raced off to the west. Why am I racing off to the west? Because I am trying to find this thing that crashed. So, this is going to get interesting. We're going to have to control the time again here. It's now 4 p.m. because I spent 4 hours in the zone where I was where I found the boat. Oh yeah, I need to make a note that I stole someone's boat. That's really good. So plots. Pristine motorboat. Found a boat. Found a boat in great nick and with a full tank of petrol. But who does it belong to? But who have I stolen it from? Yeah, cool. It's definitely not going to bite me in the ass later. Hey, but it's, zone rules, Finders keepers. All right. So, 4 hours, I can travel through the existing... In fact, this is where I'm going to actually look at some of the rules here, because I technically have visited the zone I'm traveling back in already once. I'm traveling back through in a vehicle, so I think I can travel through it pretty quickly. So I'm going to quickly look at that. And I believe that's zone travel, the one I'm already in. And there should be a section here for vehicles. If you're traveling in a vehicle, the time it takes is also cut in half. Okay, so normally it would be 2 hours to travel through a zone you've already been in. Now it's half of that, so I'm going to just kind of zip through in an hour. I don't need to make any rolls or anything. Also, someone new is on the island. Oh yeah, that's worth pointing out. Well, there's also bloody cannibals one sector to the south, and this like maybe it was the Scrap Oracle who I came across the night before, or the person who was kind of you know, walking around me. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of unusual people kind of that I've come across. So in fact, I'm going to keep track of these on here under NPCs. I'm going to put here cannibals, Scrap Oracle. I'm going to put it here under note. Avoided. I'm not actually speaking to anybody at the moment, but that's fine. So the cannibals and the Scrap Oracle I've avoided so far. And we're going to put here stranger in the night. Why did they visit but leave me undisturbed? Well, they haven't left me undisturbed. I'm quite disturbed, but they didn't wake me up. All right. Cool. Avoided. They had mutilated a crocodile man thing. All right. So 1 hour later, I'm racing through on my motorboat the sector to the to my west there. I'm gonna go into the next sector here. We're gonna go explore it. We're going to. Are we gonna roll? I'm not sure. The environment here is gonna have to be water, because I think let's just. I'm not gonna look at. I'm not looking at it right now. It's water here. So I'm not sure. Fenhorn, since you're in the chat, I'm kind of curious. I've never actually done this before. I've never traveled across water. I haven't, unfortunately, read. I should have done this in preparation. I haven't read Dead Blue Sea yet to read about. In fact, I'm just gonna grab it because I might have some interesting tables or things I can roll on in there for water-based stuff. So this is Zone Compendium 2 is called Dead Blue Sea, and it's all about traveling on water. So I'm just going to very quick skim through it. In fact, I probably could have opened it here. But anyway, it has stats for boats in it. Has some new mutations, which I've already added. It has a little map. Zone travel at sea. Okay, so to explore a zone at sea, your characters need access to some sort of conveyance. Either a scrap boat, blah, 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 blah. Creating sectors. Explaining the GM part of this thing. Okay, I'm going to look there very quickly. Create a sector. Roll to choose the current wind speed. I'm going to ignore that. Threat level and roll for threats. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of roll through here this bit here. So the threat level would have already been rolled with Sabotage. So I'm gonna look here. The threat is going to be threat level 10. Brilliant. Okay. So this is an especially dangerous sector. Okay, what does that mean? Threats. Every success means that there is a... Oh, I roll a number of... Okay, so I'm rolling something equal to the threat level. So I'm going to get rid of this here, hit that. I'm going to roll 10 base dice, which is the threat level. Roll base 10B. Every success means that there's a ruin, which I can roll on below. One ruin, but every... if you roll at least one radiation symbol or biohazard symbol, there's a threat in this sector. And the more you roll, the worse the threat. So there are actually threats for this sector. So we're going to roll a d6 for the type of threat. It's a 1, which means it's a humanoid. Interesting. I'm going to roll d66 to see what kind of humanoid it is. 24. A merchant convoy. Okay. Merchant convoy. Interesting. And what are the ruins? I'm going to roll d66 for the ruins. Whoops. 33. An oil rig. Interesting. There's an oil rig right where I am. Okay, yeah. I might re-roll that because that doesn't, or maybe we can flip the order around here. No, I'll re-roll. I want to keep the stuff I've already rolled. So, 21 is a sea fort. That kind of makes maybe a bit more sense. Somebody's built a little fort here. Maybe not a especially big one, but somebody here right in this middle of this kind of quite big body of water has built some sort of ramshackle fortress. Okay. Yeah, it's not really open sea. I mean, that's the kind of thing here that's a little bit interesting. Like, some of the ruins that you can find here are definitely like a sunken city. You wouldn't find a sunken city here. Yeah, but like a trash belt or windmills, that sort of thing. So ruins in the water kind of come here, and it says a sea fort. A sea fort is a cluster of sea forts. Large, massive metal buildings resting on legs of concrete or metal stand in the middle of the ocean. That's not going to be what this is. These installations seem to have had some form of military purpose. Some contain weapons, bullet holes, and signs of explosions. The remains of old furniture, electronics, and some provisions can be found here. What I think I'm going to say is that this is actually going to be somebody has kind of created a fortress, a makeshift fortress. And that is basically maybe some boats that have been tethered together, anchored right in the middle here. And they've made... I've read this book called The Scar by China Miéville, which is basically has this giant floating city, which is effectively a bunch of boats all lashed together. That has been kind of floats around the ocean of this fantasy setting. So I'm going to go with something like that, where this is a fort, but it's kind of anchored right in the middle of this this waterway in Stockholm, rather than being something that's kind of permanent. So we've got this sea fort. I'm going to ask the Oracle if it's occupied. So, oh, that's the threat, wasn't it? Oh, I rolled the threat already. A merchant convoy. No, that's fine. So this is the merchant. This is a sea fort for a merchant convoy. Threats. Let's go here to merchant convoy. A convoy of 3 house rafts and 3 small boats is visible in the distance. We're going to say this is their like merchant base. Around 30 mutants from a remote settlement are on board. Oh no, this is actually it. It's like house rafts. 30 mutants. Okay. They're on the way to the slaver's scrap island to sell 5 slaves. Since they are wary of being attacked, they treat the PCs with suspicion. If the PCs seem dangerous, they can pay for safe passage. Safe passage with a few artifacts or a few rations. Okay, so let's play this out. I come across this sea fort, so we're going to call this sea fort. Let's see if it'll let me just put something in here. Cool, I can put whatever I want here. Sea fort with a merchant convoy on board. No ruins, and no mood. So we're going to just quickly put up here that this is... what did I roll for environment? I'll put sea fort in here. Merchant convoy. Cool. All right. So I need to roll my find the path actually, because I haven't done that yet for this sector. And I only get 3 because I've taken 1 damage to my agility. Yep. So it's 3 and 2 to find the path. And this will let me know if I spot them before they spot me. Okay, I got a success on that, so I'm going to keep that single success just to say that I found them before they find me. And I get to decide what I want to do. So I see this sea fort off in the distance. It's only going to take me 2 hours, by the way, to travel through here. So it's going to take me to 7 p.m. And I can see there are people aboard this kind of sea fort. And I think I'm going to try and avoid them. Yeah, I'm going to try and avoid them. I'm going to use... Well, it says I can avoid them if I want to, I think, by getting a success. So... I don't see how stealth is going to help in this instance. I guess I could bring the make myself not travel quite so fast, and kind of stay really far along the edge of them and just keep my head down, and maybe that'll work. So I'm gonna try. Let's try stealth, and I'm gonna give myself a -1 because it should be relatively easy for them to spot me on the water like this. There's not a lot of places for me to hide. So a sneak is I get 2. In fact, I'm gonna say it's a -2 because it seems quite unlikely that would be the case. So I'm only gonna roll my 3 base dice that I get for sneaking. I get 1 success, And the merchant convoy does have they do have a wits thing, so I'm gonna roll for their wits. They don't have scout, which is interesting. So I'm gonna roll them their scout. So their scout is going to be 3 wits to see if they spot me. So it's an opposed roll. They haven't. So I've managed successfully to avoid them, and I kind of travel on my way. All right, interesting. So I know that there's now the sea fort and there's a merchant convoy in that sector, this sector here. I'm going to continue on to the west. Bearing in mind, it's starting it's 7 p.m. It's the summertime in Sweden, so we've still got a little bit of daylight, probably another 2 to 3 hours of daylight. I need to be getting under cover and finding some place to shelter for the night. The zone level was still 1 in that one, which is fine. So I'm gonna go off to the west one more time. I'm gonna roll my 3 base dice and 2 skill dice for find the so 3B2S. That's how it looks. I really need to succeed here on these find the rolls. So I'm gonna push this one and take some damage. Fuck, 2 damage. But I get a success, so I get a spot if there are any threats here. So I'm gonna roll here. 1 rot level. Threat level 4, and there's a beast mutant here. Interesting. Okay. And we're gonna ignore the environment for a second because that doesn't make much sense. I'm gonna go explored, and we're going to. Okay, I've come across here. Ash Desert. Doesn't really work, does it? I'm gonna quickly roll then. I'm gonna roll against the tables in the book to see if I get something better. Well, maybe an Ash Desert works. Maybe an Ash Desert works because it's on a like I've landed somewhere else. There's an interesting event that ties into this beast mutant, right? I've noticed them before they've noticed me, and what I noticed is that there's a howl, an inhuman long howl echoes across the zone. Is someone in dire need of help, or is a zone monster nearby? Well, I don't know. I land, and there's this Ash Desert. I'm going to quickly look up what an Ash Desert means because it's not listed here. That would be ruins in the zone, I guess, because this is where you roll it up. Nope. Creating the zone. Here we go. Ash ruins. It's not there. Interesting. No, Ash Desert. So Desert of Ash. I feel like there's something probably a little bit better I could roll up. This is this Ash Desert here. No ruins in it. There is a threat. No artifacts. I'm just gonna leave it, right? So there are no ruins, right? So there's nowhere for me to kind of camp other than just like maybe hiding, crawling, digging a little hole in the ash, and kind of pulling a blanket over me or something. I'm gonna assume I've got like a blanket with me, even though that's yeah. But there's a beast mutant in here. You know what? 2 hours have passed by to get here. So it's 9 p.m. We're starting to lose light. I don't like the look of this, so I'm going to risk something. Even though I've got 1 agility left to find the path, I think I might risk following the coastline and seeing if I can find somewhere to shelter. So I'm going to go to the next. I'm going to spend some time to go to the next one. I'm going to roll my find the path, which is only in this case 1 base die and 2 skill dice. I'm going to push that because I need to succeed here. Nothing. Okay, so if there's any threats in this zone, they're going to see me before I see them. Let's roll. Air jellies. Level 13. That's not good. And there's a huge crater here. Although there's a wreck. There's the remains of some old vehicle rusted beyond repair. Its metal husk is still intact. Has someone shot out the shelter there? So there's a huge crater. Let's say that there's been a big explosion, and there's a wreck of some old vehicle rusted beyond repair that, I don't recognize what it is, but it's a large vehicle. We could say it's something like maybe a bus or something. And yeah, air jellies are here. Air jellies are fucking horrible. So I've actually used them in the past, so I do know myself as a player what I'm in store for here. But let's treat it as it's meant to be treated in the game, which is to look at the monsters and figure it out. Air jellies are strange creatures, translucent fleshy bubbles the size of an open palm. I guess palm is just the center bit, maybe. Thin, long feelers hang down from the main body, lighter than air and hover, blowing wherever the wind takes them. Anything that feelers come into contact with is covered by a sticky, acidic liquid. Not harmful to human skin, but corrosive to metal. Effect: air jellies don't attack mutants themselves, but rather their gear. Now, I failed my my roll, so they're going to see me for sure. So they roll with 6 base dice, and I'm gonna basically take it on the chin. And basically every success they get decreases the gear bonus of a target item by 1 step. The attacks continue until the air jellies are destroyed or the victims manage to escape. And it says they can only be hurt by fire or explosions. I don't necessarily... In fact, let me just roll how much I know about them when I actually start encountering them. So I'm going to make a know the roll. Know the zone with no modifier on it. So let's see what I've got there for that. Know the zone is going to be 2 plus 1 because I've got 1 wits damage. So this is not looking good for me here. 2 base, 1 skill. Okay, I know what they are. I know that you can hurt them with fire. I don't have anything to use fire on them with. And I only notice them as they start, as their feelers start kind of draping across me. I'm like, oh shit. My bow, I'm mostly worried about my bow because that's, if I can't use my bow, I'm defenseless out here. So I'm going to start running for this metal. Now, they damage metal, right? This is what it says. Corrosive to metal. It's still hulking there, and although they're kind of around it, it's such a big, massive metal that I'm kind of hoping that they're not gonna destroy it. So we'll ask the Oracle if that actually works or not, if I do find shelter there. But for now, I'm gonna roll 6 base damage, which is the amount of damage they're gonna do to gear. They do 1 damage to my bow, and it's a scrap bow, right? So it's not made of it might have some wood, but it's also made out of metal as well. And unfortunately, it only has a bonus of 1, so that means my scrap bow is damaged. I'm going to have to repair it before I can even use it. So scrap bow, we're going to say here, is damaged. I can't use that thing anymore. Shit. Alright. They damaged my bow, and I'm going to try and... what did it say here about... the attack continues until I manage to escape. So I'm going to roll move to try and get away from them. To basically do like a flee action. I'm going to kind of try and keep this in the narrative. Oh, hold on. I pushed, didn't I? And I didn't take... what was it here? This one here. So I've taken 2 agility damage here. So I need to update that. So I've actually got 3 fatigue, which isn't great. I'm going to need to drink 3 water and eat 2 grub to repair from all this, by the way. So I'm rolling 1 agility and 2 for move. This isn't looking very good for my character here. 1 base, 2 skill. Do I successfully move? I don't want to break myself. No, I'm gonna have to fight these bloody jellies. So how am I gonna do this in the narrative? I want to keep this narrative, right? I don't want to descend into some sort of like strange fight with jellies. They've already destroyed the gear that I've got. I'm keeping low. Let's just say I've made my way to the... Hold on, I've got a failure, right? That I'm not pushing to try and succeed past because I'll break myself. I mean, the rules kind of state that I've got to... They linger until... The attacks continue until they're destroyed or I manage to escape. But do I have anything else that they can actually use? That they can actually break? Let's see. My fishing line and tackle. Yeah, sure. So they're going to attack again. All right, let's just keep this up. So every time I guess I'm gonna roll until I manage to successfully move away, and each time, okay. So that first is trying to get away to them. I couldn't find a way through, clear through the jellies, and they're still draping across my stuff. And I'm thinking, oh, the fishing gear. Thankfully, it was like maybe one of these these fishing poles that are come in segments. You can kind of break apart and kind of store a little bit more compact. So it's still kind of I'm kind of keeping it under my coat or something away from them, so they don't manage to get it. I'm gonna try another move. So that's roll 1 base and see if I can find a way through to the bus. 3 6s. Wow. Now that's an unusual. Thank you, Sabotage. I'm not saying thank you because of that roll. Yeah, I don't know. It's thank you and also fuck you because you've been not giving me some very good rolls lately. But yeah, with 3 successes, I clear a path through and I make my way into this bus. And I think with the 3 successes, I'm not going to consult the Oracle, maybe, about whether the air jelly... I think we'll just say that with the 3 successes to move away from the air jellies have kind of drifted with the wind away from this bus. So the bus is going to provide me shelter for the night, which I really need right now. So this has taken me... this is technically a 4-hour zone to get through, to get to this thing. So by now, the time is 1 a.m., right? It's definitely nighttime now. To find this bus. So let's just see where I am, actually, because I came across this way. This is the air jellies. I didn't do the explored thing, so now we're gonna hit there. Okay, and this is where I am. So I've parked my my motorboat out on the coastline. I've headed in, and I've found this wreck, which I'm kind of crashing in for the night. So at the end of the I'm gonna actually have to update my journal for this. I sped quickly to the west, and after a couple of hours spotted some sort of junk fort floating in the water ahead of me. Deciding to be cautious, I slowed the engine, and crept around the fort without attracting notice. Continuing on my way, I found some landfall. Continue my way, and with night approaching, I found some landfall, but it was an ash desert with no visible shelter. And there was an odd howl that kept me in the boat. Further along the coast, I found an area that looked like it might have shelter. Parked, anchored the boat, and headed to shore. Air jellies straight into air jellies. So I'm going to come back and write more about this. I'm going to stop recounting all this. So straight into air jellies, damage bow, into bus, slept. Okay, so to sleep, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have to severely tuck into my supplies here. So to get rid of my fatigue, I have to consume 1 water per level of fatigue I have to get rid of it. So I have to consume 3 water. So my water is going... I'm using up all this water here. I'm going to move my grub into this one. I'm going to use 2 grub as well. So this grub goes down to 2 here. This one goes away. And this goes down from 4 to 3. Because I had 2 water in the previous one. So I now have 6 grub, taking up those, and I have 3 water. But that's going to get rid of all of my fatigue for those 2. And by sleeping, I'm going to get rid of my wits. So... I'm gonna kind of like have like just shoveling food into my mouth that I've got, drinking water, and then I'm gonna collapse to sleep. And I only need 4 hours of sleep to kind of recover. So we're gonna say, because I'm quite afraid of where I am. I don't feel very safe. As soon as the sun comes up, I'm gonna be waking up and going on my way. So it's 1 a.m. We're going to progress the clock forward to 5 a.m., which I think definitely in Sweden, in the summertime at 5 a.m., the sun's coming up. Hey, Peter. Yeah, so what am I going to do? God, I'm going to get back in my motorboat. I'm going to go north because I was heading west. In fact, the crater was here, wasn't it? So I was here, I saw something fall. So we're going to ask the Oracle if if this crater looks like it contains something in the middle that's fresh. You know, is this what I've been looking for? Is this where the star fell? So, Oracle, does it look like there is that this crater? Is there something in this crater? Let's ask that question, right? Yes, but I think it's easy. Yes, there's something in this crater, but it's probably not what I'm looking for because it's quite old. We can say it's the remains of something. So like some shards of metal, or you know, something exploded in here, and it's kind of, there's something still left that was there. But it's not going to be of anything to use to me. Yeah. So yes, but maybe there's something in there I can use. So let's look at the scrap table, actually. Maybe somebody's come kind of through here. Let's say there's a skeleton here, actually. So yes, but yes should be something positive, right? It's not a no, it's a yes. Let's say there's somebody was here, they died, and maybe there's something to find on their body. So I'm going to roll on the scrap table just for shits and giggles. I find a rechargeable battery. Interesting. That's going to also be potentially quite useful. Now this weight thing, let me look at the scrap list. Where's the weight column? This is this half. Oh, so the 1 is normal weight. This is basically tiny. So the dash means tiny. Okay, fine. So hide that again. And I find a rechargeable battery, which is going to be quite useful, possibly. It's probably not charged though. I'd be surprised after however long it's been since it was here that it's actually charged, but it was on a corpse, so yeah. So journal, checked out crater, found battery on skeleton. All right, let's go back in the boat then, and we're gonna head north. We're gonna try and find some land over sort of this way. So we're gonna head north first, then we're gonna kind of go northwest like that, because that's where it looked like it headed straight west from the arc, and I'm a bit too far to the south. So we're gonna go head north a bit, go to this one. We're gonna hit like this explore button, see what we see in terms of, is it just water? It is just water. So again, I'm gonna roll on the Dead Blue Sea compendium here to see what I find here. Rot level makes sense first. So in fact, rot level, I'm gonna take 1 rot because I was never in an oasis, so that's one thing I forgot to do. So I'm gonna take one rot damage from the night before. So this, if I take some strength damage from this, I'm gonna have to have consumed grub in retrospect to have healed this. 6 rot is pretty bloody terrible. The maximum is 10. This is not looking good for my stalker, to be honest. Yeah, so I gotta roll 6. I gotta roll 6 base dice and see if I get fucked over. Now I'm looking for 1s here. Shit. So I would have taken 3 damage. That would have broken me, actually, from the night before. From the rot. But, well, whatever. Yeah. It's fine. We'll just say, like, I was quite sick from the rot, but I kind of got rid of it, I think. So, the problem is I had a ton of grub. I now have 3 grub left. Let's just look for shits and giggles at the rules for it being broken by rot, because that could probably be quite bad. Doesn't really say anything about it. I mean, this would be a non-typical or atypical critical attack, which if I go to conflict here, go to critical injuries, you see down here it says non-typical damage. You are incapacitated until you die or are healed. Yeah, that's a good idea. So I oversleep because of the damage. So that we'll handle it that way, which is just kind of making it up on the spot. So I'm gonna roll d6, and we're gonna add that to the time in terms of how long I slept. 4 more hours. Okay. So it's actually 9 a.m. by the time I wake up, and I'm feeling pretty shit because of the. In fact, I'll say I felt pretty shit. Yeah, felt pretty shit because of the rot damage. I went through most of my grub. It doesn't really make a lot of sense necessarily that you're eating a ton of grub to heal yourself, like gorging yourself basically, but that's what happened. I'm back to normal health. The problem is with my rot, with me becoming so irradiated, I'm rolling more and more dice each time I take an additional point of rot, and eventually it's gonna kill me, right? Or I'm just gonna continually take damage until it's just gonna take one person to just kind of poke me with their finger, and I'll fall over and take a critical damage, like a critical attack. I'm also running severely low on grub and water, so I'm going to be prioritizing rather than looking for artifacts, I'm going to be prioritizing looking for grub and water right now. In fact, I might, once I find landfall, I might actually head back to the Ark and try and recover in the Ark. That might be what I do today. And we can do some Ark politics. Narrative failures. What do you mean by that, Rodders, in terms of mechanical failures? Anyway, so I'm gonna roll to find the path through this zone. So roll 4 base dice and 2 skill dice in this case. I'm not pushing that. Oh, I took 2 additional damage, and I didn't take the additional mutation points, which is important. So I've got 6 mutation points now, too, by the way, when I took that agility damage before. So, find the path. What did I roll? I rolled a single success, so I know if there's a threat here. Did I just roll this? Air jellies again? The wreck? The huge crater? I've already done this. This is a different... Oh. Here we go. No threats. Okay. It's actually... That's fine. So there's no threats. I'm not going to roll for threats. Yeah. Is there a ruin in here? It says there's no ruin, so I'm assuming this is all correct. It says there's a swamp. I'm going to get rid of that. No swamp. And there's nothing to find in there, so that's fine. I spent 2 hours going through this zone, so it's 11 a.m. I'm going to continue to the north. Looks like there's some land here, so I'm gonna just kind of continue along the north here because I'm aware I'm kind of close to the Ark, and I'm gonna roll to find the zone here. So you roll a d6. Sorry, Fenhorn, I'm just trying to understand the Mutant Hindenburg, and that's the damage the rot affects. Yeah. So it's weighted. Half of your results are going to be towards strength damage. The other ones are going to possibly agility, wits, or empathy. I don't know. It seems weird to be broken by. For each trauma, you roll a d6. Interesting. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna take that. So I'm gonna roll again the same 4 base dice and 2 skill dice for this new zone. Okay, again, I'm not gonna push this because I really can't afford to take, I don't want to take more, but I will notice if there's any threats in this zone. So we're gonna roll. I think I may have already done it, but anyway, I think it automatically rolls when you open it, but I'm always hitting the roll button first. So before I look at this too much, let's have a look at what it looks like and see if this applies to landfall. There is landfall here. Yeah, cool. And I see some silhouettes in the distance of some people walking in the zone. I'm going to add 2 hours to my clock, so we're looking at 1 p.m. here. Well, it depends on how long I'm going to spend in this zone, so we're going to keep it here for now. Because I'm in the water still, and I'm trying to decide if I want to explore. I see some people there. I'm not sure I want to encounter them. I'm feeling weak. I'm feeling running low on supplies. But do I want to? I think I might want to look for some grub or water here anyway. The problem is I know I didn't. I rolled badly for my know the zone. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave this zone alone, and I'm going to head back to my Ark, and I'm going to try and recover, get rid of some of this rot because I'm feeling pretty shitty right now. I'm going to head back to the Ark and try and recover. So I'm gonna I'll spend just 2 hours. I found some landfall off to the side, and I'm anxious to get my my boat back, and I might be coming back with an NPC. So we're spending 2 hours here. We're gonna go to the next zone. I'm gonna roll the same know the zone. for the next one to the east. 1 success, so that's good enough for me. I'm going to click in here. I'm going to hit roll. No threats, so that's good. It's not crumbling ruins, because I think we're in a zone that is all water. Let's have a look. It is all water. In fact, in this one, also had a rot level of 1. Okay. So I'm not going to be spending a whole day in here. I spent 2 hours basically going, another 2 hours going through here, and then I'm going back into the Ark. And as I come into the Ark is in a kind of an oasis of where there's no rot, so I'm not going to have to roll for any rot today. As I'm kind of getting back to the Ark again looks like this. It's a boat. It's a cruise ship that's crashed. So it's 3 p.m. and I'm arriving at the boat. I'm gonna try and see if I can get in without anybody spotting me, but I'm assuming that's kind of impossible. I'm coming from the water. There's gonna be people kind of keeping an eye on stuff, and I'll be seen as I'm coming in. So let's have a look at my NPC list here and just remind myself of who I've got written down here. There's another stalker called Yasan who hates me. Okay, that's interesting. And let's have a look here what it says here. Hate. The stalker Yasan because he went deeper into the zone than me. Okay, we'll see if Yasan happens to be back. I need to protect the gearhead Pontiac. A pain in the neck, but without you he'd be dead. So maybe the gearhead... Oh, we'll see about what's going to happen. And we're going to look back at my NPC list and see, about the bosses. And we saw that there were 2 bosses here. A boss called Abed and a boss called Lula. Abed is a commander. He's very militaristic. He drills his underlings as if they were soldiers in an army. Does not mind getting blood on his own hands every now and then. Good for morale. And Lula, the revolutionary, wants to topple the Elder once and for all and create a new fair and equal order in the Ark. Wants to ban private ownership, demote all bosses, and introduce decision-making by consensus. Okay. Wanderers. Avoided. In fact, we're also going to put down here Beast Mutant. Heard a howl, but avoided. Avoiding everybody. So quickly journal this. Check out Creative Fun Battery and Skeleton. Went north. Into bus. Took 3 rot damage. Overslept. Into bus. Took 3 rot damage. Ate and drank most of my supplies. Overslept. Checked with Creative next morning. Found battery in the skeleton. Went north. In boat. Discovered land. Fall to directly west of Ark, but silhouettes of people there, so booked it back. Okay, so I'm back at basically my journal is more or less up to date. I'll change it into proper words later. Yeah, I need to get rid of this rot. So as I'm pulling in, before anything happens, like as I'm kind of tethering up my boat, kind of maybe there's somebody on the ship, like where we're docking the boats on the water, who comes up to me and asks like, "Oh, sweet sweet boat." Let's see who this is. Let's roll a d66. Let's get it. In fact, let's ask the Oracle if this is the person who approaches me. Like, how do they feel about me? So we're gonna look at this this friendly, neutral, or hostile, right? No, what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll the Oracle to see like how we're gonna ask the person who approaches me, is it somebody who's friendly? So I don't want a no result here. So 6 base. 2 and 2. Okay, they cancel themselves. It's a complication. Okay, this is interesting. So a complication is a change in circumstances that renders the original question no longer relevant. Complications can be big or small, positive or negative. In the case of blah 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 blah, it can be dramatic. They can be an excuse to introduce an NPC or even bring back a villain that you thought was dead. Complications are never nothing if you cannot immediately think of what they could change. how about this? This boat belonged to somebody on the Ark. And they made their way back after I spent the day, like, kind of hopping along and then, you know, going back. After my boat got stolen, the person made their way back to the Ark. And, you know, they're keeping it. They basically have been thinking about, like, they've been kind of sulking, and they heard that a boat had arrived, and they came to see it, and it's their boat. So, this is not going to go well for me. I've stolen this boat, and the person's just caught me. Yeah, that's the complication. That makes a lot of sense, I think, here. So, we're going to go with hostile here. We're going to roll a d6 and see what the hostile result is with this NPC. And we're also going to roll and see what the name is. I guess the first question is, Oracle, do I know who this person is? Is this somebody known to me? No. It's a single one, so it's no because... They don't know me because... Let's roll another Oracle. This 2d12 and a d66. So we're going to roll 2d6. And we're going to roll... It's a 5 and a 2. So 7, and we're going to roll a d66. So 7 and 55. 7. Technical mistrusting. Technical mistrusting. No, they don't. No, they don't. No, I don't know them because technical mistrusting. Oh my god. Hi, Christian. Yeah. I've been going for an hour and a half, so this is what's happened. I've explored around this little zone. I'm back at the Ark. I've taken a ton of radiation damage. I've eaten most of my supplies I took with me. I had quite a lot to start off with, and I'm back at the Ark to nurse my wounds. I stole a motorboat though, and I've just arrived back at my Ark, and the person I've stolen it from, I rolled a complication. The person I've stolen it from has just approached me, and I've said here and I've rolled on the Oracle to say technical mistrusting. So technical mistrusting. We're gonna try and think about what that means as I roll to see how they react to me. As I arrived, the person who owns the boat was waiting. Technical mistrusting. I don't know them. Before they even find out what their name is or anything like that, I'm not going to roll their name yet. I'm going to see about how they react to me. So I'm going to roll a single d6. Whoops. Roll d6. Okay, what does a 3 mean for how they handle me? So hostile 3 demands tribute or payment. Okay, I've used some of their fuel, and they say, you've got my boat. You've taken my boat. You've used my petrol. You're gonna have to give me something in return. So I'm going to offer them bullets first. Are they going to accept bullets, Oracle? So roll 6 base. Ooh, that's 2 negatives, right? These things cancel each other out. That means no, they don't accept my bullets, but they will accept artifacts. So they basically shake me down for everything I've got. They don't even let me start offering them my bullets. I think with a no and they would steal everything I've got. In this case, they're going to basically say, you know, turn out your pockets. I want to see what you've found out there, and they're going to take my 2 artifacts. So they take away. I lose my technical mistrusting. So maybe they don't take the MMO cube, right? Maybe they leave me with the MMO cube. They take the comic book. They shake me down for repayment of used fuel and take my comic. My Donald Duck comic. In fact, we're gonna ask the Oracle here. Yeah, I think they're gonna take everything. They're gonna take all my artifacts. They shake me down for repayment of useful and take my artifacts. Donald Duck comic, and MMO cube. So, they're gone. I'm going to go into my thing here. I'm going to remove those. So the artifact is gone. I'm just going to delete that. And my artifact here is gone as well. So, alright. And who was this person? I'm going to ask around after they left, like, because I didn't know who they were. Who was that? And I'm going to find, I mean, I'm on an arc. I kind of belong to one of the bosses. I'm going to find some people and describe what had happened. Let's find out a little bit about this person, because I'm going to add them to my NPC list, because I've basically made a bit of an enemy here. So the person in question is named D66. There is actually, what would actually make more sense here is to use a random, there's like a random NPC creator, I think, for this. So let's find the name first. 35, the name is Aridia. So it's Aridia. She's at the Ark. Note. I think it makes sense that if she was out there in the zone, that she probably was a stalker. Another stalker. Now an enemy. Yeah, so I'm not gonna roll for that. So Aridia the stalker. Okay. Regardless, I'm gonna head to my den now. My artifacts, the whole point of me going out there was to try and find this thing that crashed. I found a boat, which is what I was looking for, but unfortunately it didn't belong to me, and when I brought it back, yeah, I don't really have access to that boat probably now, unless I try and steal it again. So I'm kind of back to square one. In fact, if anything, I've got a shitload of rot, and I've lost a lot of I've lost a lot of gear, lost a lot of grub and water as well. So I'm gonna go try and find a way to remove this rot, and the way you do that is you can take a bath. I'm just gonna pull that up here very quickly. Decontamination. When you're back in the Ark or take refuge, 1 rot point will leave your body every day. If you wash your body in clean water, half of my rot points will go away immediately. Only after your first wash on returning to the Ark. Now, I've said that we have access to clean water. That's one of the things that the Ark has. So, yeah, we're gonna say you can use it, but it's gonna cost you. You gotta pay for it. You gotta pay for a bath because it's a lot of water being used. So I'm gonna look at I'm gonna roll for a d6 and see how much this is gonna cost me in terms of bullets. 5 bullets. That's the amount of bullets I found when I was out in the Ark. So I'm literally back to square one, except that I'm a lot worse off. So my bullets go down 5. I need the bath. I'm feeling horrible. So I'm paying for the privilege of having a bath, and I'm gonna spend some time soaking and removing these rot points. So to remove them, half of my rot points are gonna go away immediately. But then if I spend the whole day, another one, I go down at 1 more. So 3 of them go down. I think every time you're about to lose 1 rot point, roll 1 base die. If you roll a 1, it stays and it becomes permanent. So I'm gonna have to roll here 3 because I've just lost 3. I'm gonna have to roll to see if any of these became permanent. Okay, hold on. I gotta figure out what I'm doing again. Okay, so roll 3d6 or 3 base dice. That's what I need to roll. Okay, I'm in luck. None of them are permanent. That's fine. I'm gonna roll 1 more just while I'm here, spending the day here, to see if my last one that I'm gonna be healing while I'm staying here is gonna become permanent as well. So I should have rolled 4, but anyway, that does be. Yeah. So I'm gonna get 1 permanent one. Yeah, which isn't great. So what that means is it stays. So one of those rot points, this last rot point, isn't actually going to go away for the one for the day. It's actually going to stay. So I'm still staying with. I've still got 3 rot points after spending a whole day here. So I'm going to look back at my time thing here. We're going to say I arrived at 3 p.m. I took a bath. We're going to just progress the clock, I think, 4 hours to like sort of the evening. We'll say it's like 7 p.m., right? I finished my bath. I'm feeling a little bit better, but still feeling a bit shit from the rot. I make my way back to the... I'm going to try and make my way back to my den, which is a Volkswagen bus on the car deck of the Ark. We'll say I make it back there, and I'm kind of resting in there, kind of feeling sorry for myself. Thinking about what to do. I've got to buy some more grub and water before I head out again. What am I going to do about finding a boat? Am I going to try and steal this boat off of Aridia again? I don't know. Fenhorns asking, shouldn't it be 2 temp and 1 permanent? Oh yeah. Yeah. So I do lose 1, but it becomes permanent. So this is, I'm not really counting this as temp. I'm counting this as, I'm going to keep it like this. This means I have 3 current rot points. 1 of them is permanent, so I can never go below 1, right? So that's just how I'm choosing to keep track of it. So I'm not adding these up every time I'm rolling. I'm just knowing that I've got 3 and 1 of them is permanent. So anyway, I guess that is one way to look at it, is to look at it as temporary. Yeah, we'll do it that way. That makes a bit more sense, actually. Yeah. Well, maybe I can add like a total count. So every time I'm getting more. I've got a total count. I'm not forgetting to just look at the temporary ones. Anyway. Okay. So I think after I've slept, someone's going to be... I think my boss is going to ask me to report in and basically ask, like, what's happened. So if we remember what happened, there was the starfall. A light in the sky came crashing down to Earth somewhere to the west. I spent a whole day dicking around trying to find a boat. It took me 2 days to find a boat, and I ended up back to square one. So 2 days have gone past since this star crashed to Earth. And I think another boss will have sent a crew out, and we'll say they sent a crew out to the west with a boat, a boss that had a boat. So somebody has a 2-day head start on me, like a rival group. And that's not going to be that's not going to be very good for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to the events, and I've got this thing called Arc events, and I'm going to roll randomly on this table to see what kind of, because this ties into threats and things like this as well. So what's happening within the Arc right now? Fight over a project. Now, I haven't done any projects yet. I skipped the projects to start off with, I believe. Let me just have a look at that, actually. So go to Arc. Oh, Arc is the defenses project. I did actually roll for it. So let's have a look at what it says for defenses, because something's gone wrong with, or there's something happening with that project. So I might actually be checking in to see, like, what's happening with this project. The Arc, list of projects, defenses. Palisades, earthworks, or even a moat. Protects the Ark against enemies on the outside and makes it harder to slip in or out unnoticed. Okay. So, I think this kind of, thinking about this a little bit, there was one of the NPCs, we talked about when we were creating this, that there was some tension with the bosses. And one of the bosses is this commander who's trying to... he's treating his underlings like they're soldiers. It's very, very much militaristic minded, and we can say this boss Abed has been the one really pushing for these defenses to be made to secure the Ark a bit more. And what we can say is maybe that Lula. We could say that Lula maybe is my boss, who is this revolutionary, and she wants to topple the Elder, create a new fair and equal order in the Ark, ban private ownership, demote all bosses, introduce decision-making by consensus. She sees the creation of the defenses as a way for Abed to, basically, maybe he's putting up palisades or something, but the walls around the outside of the cruise ship, she sees as a way to keep people, like, controlled on the inside. So not only is it a defense from the outside, it's also potentially could act as a prison from the inside. So she is sabotaged. The event is going to be that she has actually sabotaged the project. And she's my boss. We're going to say it like that as well. So I'm going to just quickly update my journal. Overslept. So this is actually day 3. I take a bath, which costs 5 bullets. and rest in my den. But I quickly learn, I'll say, and eat in my den. Then wander out to find out what's happened. In my absence. My boss... What's her name again? Lula. My boss, Lula, has sabotaged the Defenses Project in an attempt to undermine Abed's authority. Okay. So, let's move the clock along a little bit. One thing I'm noticing here is I'm trying to avoid social encounters because I feel like I'm more comfortable at the moment treating this like a board game where I'm not interacting with people too much. I'm talking a lot in third person. I'm not doing any role play between myself and another person. Here I'm talking about there being sabotage. I'm talking to people within my group, but I'm not actually role playing any of that. And I think there's I'm just going to mention it because it's a little bit of I feel like maybe an elephant in the room. Part of it is I haven't really thought. I have like it's a bit too wide open right now. I don't know what the arc looks like in terms of people. I could probably create them quite quickly, but I'm also aware that might take a little bit of time to figure out how to do that. And it's something I probably want to spend a little bit more time thinking about. I'm probably going to look at Ironsworn for how it does some of the sort of social moves to get some ideas for how to handle that. Yeah, I'm aware of this. At the moment, I've only been thinking about this in terms of exploring the zone, engaging with the rules as they relate to that style of play, and really almost treating it like a board game almost. So at the moment, I'm gonna continue with that for today. But I think for the next time I do this, like my second episode, I might actually look at stopping it for now because I'm also a little bit tired and I can feel like my brain is losing its creative spark. I thought I could do this for 2 hours, but it's it's interesting. Anyway, so if I would think about maybe coming up with something a little bit more interesting for next time in terms of like arc politics and stuff. And I want to leave this on board the arc. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make it so that something happens. We'll set up the scene for the next, like something that happens more in the arc. So we've had one project crash to a halt. I'm actually going to draw a threat, I think, for when we start the next one. So this might actually happen overnight before I've slept. So I'm shuffling my threat deck. This Starfall's already happened. We know that that's happened. What else has happened? Let's look at my my plots here. There was a stranger in the night came and was like watching me, but they didn't disturb me. I still don't know who that is. This motorboat. So we're gonna change it from saying that to saying Aridia's motorboat. Found a boat in Great Nick with full tank and petrol. But Aridia got it back at great cost to me. All right, I'm gonna merge those and we're gonna make it wrapped text. There we go. So, threats. There we go. I've got the other people. They come walking out of the smog without warning, a group of mutants just like us, but not as skinny and miserable. They say they come from a settlement out in the zone, another ark, and they want an alliance. They ask some of the people to come with them to their ark as guests. That's a good place to leave it. And let's say that they arrive just before nightfall, because we're kind of looking at the clock here and saying it was like 8 p.m. Remembering this is a summertime, so it's kind of starting to get a little bit darker, coming up to dusk, when these people wander out of the zone. So this is a pretty major thing that's to happen. So the other people. Group from another arc arrive and ask for some people to accompany them as guests. Now, I'm definitely going to be going along because otherwise it's going to be a little bit boring. And this is a great place to introduce some additional NPCs, because I'm going to be going along with... we're going to come up with a reason why I'm going with them. I'm also going to be going along with as an envoy with another group of people from our own arc. So I need to come up with NPCs that are part of our arc and all the kind of factions they belong to, all that kind of stuff. And I'll do that, actually. I might do that in the last 15 minutes of this episode. We're going to come up with the NPCs that are from this other arc, the people who have come. We'll roll d6 to see how many of them have actually arrived. They're mutants as well, so we'll work out what their mutations are. I've got my mutation deck I'll use for that. And I think it's easy to say why I'm going to be going along. I think there's going to be some distrust of these other mutants from this other arc. They're going to be given a place to stay for the night, but they're going to not be allowed to kind of wander freely around. They'll be given some grub and stuff. I get taken aside by Lula, my boss, and she tells me that she's very disappointed that I've come back empty-handed. Not even any artifacts to show for my 2 days out in the zone. And as a result, I'm being ordered to go along with this envoy to this other arc. She suspects... I probably can guess this, but she really suspects that this is a trick of some kind, that there's a lot of mistrust in Lula, basically. And I think she doesn't want to risk any of her good people to, to go along. But at the same time, she needs a spy. She needs somebody to go along just in case. And because I've let her down really badly, this is my punishment, is I'm going off potentially as a lamb to the slaughter with this new group of mutants. Let's roll a d6 to see how many mutants are going to be going along in total from our arc. So I'm going to do d6, and hopefully it's not 1. Let's say, well, yeah, if it's 1, we'll say 1 in addition to me. 6. So there's going to be a party of 6. Okay, so 6 mutants are going to be from our arc. Are going to be going. How many mutants actually arrived from this other one? Okay. God. Okay. I could flip this on its head, actually. We could say, well, would that happen? 6 mutants from them? I think one envoy. It said multiple envoys, right? So I think we're going to flip that around. We're going to say 6 of them arrived, and the only people that are going to be sent are going to be 2 mutants from... Like, we're a bit suspicious, so we're going to send 2 envoys. Myself... So the 2 bosses, Abed and Lula, are in agreement that they each send 1 envoy to go. So I'm being sent from Lula's as punishment, and we're gonna look at who's going to be sent from Abed's group. Abed's going to send somebody... I mean, he's very militant-minded, right? So he's going to be sending... We're going to say he's going to send like an enforcer or somebody like that. Let's have a quick think about this. Yeah, maybe Lula pipes up first and says, yeah, Hamed is going to be... I'm choose Hamed. Almost as a kind of an instantaneous thing. Like, I need to send somebody. Yeah, Hamed's going, because he's like I don't even have to think about this. This guy has let me down. He can go on this dangerous suicide mission. And yeah, Abed's a bit like, okay, Hamed, he's not particularly strong. He's not particularly impressive. So yeah, I'm going to send somebody along to maybe hope that I can actually find out what's going on. I want somebody to come back alive. So he's sending along an enforcer. Yeah, I'm just thinking about this. It doesn't quite make a lot of sense in terms of... I'm just thinking about, like, being a slave to what I've rolled here. Maybe the 1 can be the number of people that yeah, we'll say 1 is the number... I'm gonna kind of change the rules here. 1 is the number of people being sent by Lula, and I'm gonna roll a d3 to see. So we're gonna roll a d6. We're gonna see how many are being sent by Abed, because I think he might want to send more than 1. Okay, so 3. So he's actually going to send a bigger crew. And he's going to send 3 along. So there's 6 of these others that have arrived, and there's going to be 4 of us going back. Myself from Lula, and 3 from Abed. Yeah. Now this makes sense. Lula doesn't really care about this. She doesn't want to. She's worried about the balance of power in the Ark, right? If she sends too many of her people away, then she's going to have less people on the inside. Abed is sending 3 of his crew. He's taking this very seriously. He sees it as a potential threat to the Ark by having this external force. So he's sending 3 very, very capable people out to go along with them. And they've potentially got very specific orders, etc. And Lula is also seeing this as an opportunity that his group is severely weakened by him losing these 3 strong people. So she's definitely not sending anyone else. So I quite like this. So we're gonna come up with 3 quite capable, powerful, NPCs that are allied with Abed, and it's just gonna be me. So we're gonna start writing this down. We're gonna go with NPCs here. We're gonna put a new section down over here. We're gonna call it Envoy to the Other Ark, and we're gonna say me. And we're going to say Abed has sent an enforcer and 2 grunts. No, an enforcer, a grunt, and a chronicler. That makes sense. So the grunt and the enforcer are pretty powerful. They're quite good at looking out for themselves. The chronicler is basically someone to kind of someone a bit clever. Someone who's going to be able to take stock of what's happening in this other arc and be able to really, find the details out that Abed's going to need to know about them. So probably with very specific orders in terms of looking for, staking them out, that sort of thing. Rodders, sorry if you said this a little while ago. Screw the dice, go with your guts. That's what solo's all about, right? I'm being a bit of a I talk about this being a slave, but I'm going with this, right? So this makes sense here. So this is the envoy to the Other Ark, and we're going to say the Other Ark, emissaries. Emissaries are something very different in Coriolis. And we got 6 of them. So they would have sent a stalker. They would have sent a gearhead. Might even go through the whole thing. Definitely have an enforcer on board. They'll have a chronicler. 4. We need 2 more. In fact, they might even have more than 1 stalker. I'm just going to have a quick look at the book. Open the book here, rather than get the physical one out. Let's just have a look again here at these. So enforcer, gearhead, stalker, fixer. A fixer would be good. A fixer would be somebody who would be able to kind of bargain with people. So they'll definitely have a fixer who's arrived, and I think there'll be a grunt too. If I didn't already have one. I think I already did a grunt though, didn't I? No, I didn't. So we're going to have a fixer and we're going to have a grunt. Right. Let's do some mutations. So, first mutation. This is from our arc. So the enforcer has cryokinesis, which is pretty cool. Which is basically turning things to ice. We have a human toad for the grunt. Cool. Human toad. These are both from GenLab Alpha, actually, which is kind of interesting. The next mutation is acid spit. Our chronicler can spit acid. Their stalker can. He's got spores, or she. I'm not sure yet. Or they. I'm not sure. The gearhead has telepathy. Interesting. I might change this around a little bit with them. We might just might do 4. We've got Puppeteer. Oh my god, that's a powerful one. Frog Legs. Human Plant. And Mind Terror. Okay, so the Puppeteer, the Telepathy, and the Mind Terror are going to be more selective with these. So we're going to go with the Fixer having Puppeteer, because that makes sense. Telepathy with the Chronicler. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mind Terror. Mind Terror is going to be the... Gearhead, maybe. Why not? Got spores for the Stalker, frog legs and human plant. We'll do frog legs for the Enforcer, which is kind of funny. And the Grunt is going to be a human plant. Cool. All right. So, let's do some names very quickly. I'm going to look actually for a, I'm going to type in here, Mutant Year Zero name generator. Ha ha ha. Look at this. Casca. Right, we're gonna go down. We're just gonna go down the line here. Oh God. There we go. All right. So Casca's the Enforcer here. We've got Lard. The Grunt is called Lard. Marco, maybe. We'll call him Marco. Marco is the Chronicler. Lena. Just kind of changing these ever so slightly. Novia. Erister. We'll go with Rister. Emelina. Ilona. Grits. So all these kind of interesting names, and then we get for the two grunts, Lard and Grits. I kind of like that. I'm going to roll a couple more that aren't Pontus. I'm going to go with... this is a bit too long. I'm going to go with Pontus here for the Chronicler. And... yeah, and this one we're going to do a different one too. Novia again. Oh, Novia twice must mean that should be Novia. Morris. I don't like that. Okay, we're going to leave it like this. We're going to leave it like this. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. Okay, cool. All right, so I think I might leave it here. Yeah, I can come up with typical stats. So the book actually does have, if you go down to somewhere in here, it's, I think in the GM's chapter. Your job as a game master, and it's got like non-player characters here. We got typical stats for each of these types. So I'm just basically gonna take these. I'm gonna stick the typical NPC stats with all of these NPCs, and we're gonna use them. We're going to use them starting with the next episode to find out what happens. So I've been hoiked off of this expedition to find out what this star was that fell down. We'll see what happens with that in the future. In fact, I might even put a little clock. Maybe I'll think about like a little clock for this sort of thing. Maybe I'll take a page out of take a page out of Ironsworn's book and assign a 10 segment clock on this. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I can decide how many clocks I'm filling in as time goes. So we'll just do kind of 10 segment clocks for each of these. Like that. So we've had 2 days pass since the starfall. That was the 2 days that I was gone. Yeah, and we're going to be starting the next morning as we're ready to go out and to follow these other people back to their arc, wherever that might be. Stranger in the Night, we're just going to kind of tick one of those. The motorboat, I think we could kind of say that's kind of come to roost. So I just basically fill this in, more or less. Yeah, and this has just started. So in terms of like, this is like just to measure progress as a kind of very abstract kind of thing. I don't want to treat it like a vow necessarily, like Ironsworn. Maybe I'll come back to that and do that. But yeah, I just want to kind of treat it very loosely as like a sort of progress tracker for some of the big plots that are happening. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to mention here in the journal that I want to do some experience points actually. So we'll do that before I finish. Actually, let's kind of end this on an interesting note. So so we talked about the Lula sabotaging the thing. Other people event. 6 visitors from another arc. Lula is only sending me. Wants to maintain strength here. Abed is sending 3 envoys. This is my punishment. Okay. So I think the thing to do here now is to... Yeah, I'm actually... I think I've been thinking about bringing along another NPC. So even though she's not like sending anyone else, there might be some people who aren't necessarily affiliated with her. So I think what I will do is I'll bring along the NPC that is my the person I need to protect. So I'm gonna bring Pontiac with me. We're going to talk about it. Pontiac maybe is a little bit... doesn't feel very safe at the moment, so we're going to have a gearhead joining our crew. What on earth? What just happened there? So we're going to drag these out. Cut. Paste. There we go. We have a gearhead. Pontiac. Oh, it'd be good to have... It'd be good to have the stalker that I hate. Maybe he's going to come along as well. No, he's not. So... What does he have? He has the mutation of Man Beast. Oh, you are half man, half savage beast. Nice. Okay, cool. Obviously I like Man Beast. You can tell from my reaction there. I'll figure out what kind of beast he is. Any suggestions in the chat for what kind of beast Pontiac is? Pontiac sounds a bit like a bear to me, half bear. I think a Pontiac is a type of bear, isn't it? Let me just have a look at that. Pontiac bear. Pontiac with a C? Pontiac bear? Nope. Pontiac is a car. A hog. I don't know. Kodiak. I'm thinking of a Kodiak bear, I think. Kodiak bear. There we go. Kodiak bear, not a Pontiac bear. Man beast. So he can attack people with fangs and claws. He can let out a bestial roar. He never gives up. Broken by damage. He can spend it to recover. I think it sounds a bit like a bear. Like something kind of like a really savage beast, it says. So I think bear works. I mean, a warhog could work too. But I like the idea of him being kind of like a bear. Yeah. Man beast. Bear. Okay. I'm just going to write in here. I've got sonar. I know I've got sonar. It's fine. Cool, and I'm kind of loaded up with mutation points too. I've got 6 mutation points, which is quite good. So anyway, I'm going to be sleeping in our arc. I'm going to be recovering. I'm recovering another point of rot, but it's actually just going to permanent. And that's where I'm going to leave it. So this is kind of interesting. I talked about experience points, so we're going to look at that right now very quickly. So if I come over here to, I think it's in the section develop your mutant. Here we go. So, bearing in mind, I'm treating this as like the prologue and this one here. So let's look at this all together as sort of like 1.5 sessions. Did I participate in the session? Yes, that's 1. Did I perform a day's work for a project in the Ark? I did not. Did I explore at least one new sector? Yes. Did I sacrifice or risk something for my buddy? No. Did I sacrifice something for the NPC I want to keep safe? No. I don't have a PC buddy, by the way. So the person I want to keep safe, Pontiac, no. Did I risk something to mess with the NPC I hate? No. Did you sacrifice or risk something to reach your big dream? I don't think I did. Let's just have a look at my big dream is because I've forgotten that. To venture deep into the zone and find Eden. I've not been looking for Eden, right? So I'd argue I haven't really done anything towards that. So I'm going to give myself 2 experience points. And bump that up to 27 as my total. So I've got 2 experience points I'm sitting on, which isn't a lot. And you know what? I'm just going to say... Enforcer, Grunt, and Chronicler... I think there's going to be a volunteer to come along as well, and that's going to be the Yasan. because I want there to be some conflict here. I want this to be kind of interesting. So Yasan is the NPC that I hate. They don't necessarily hate me, but I hate them. They are a parasite. So a human parasite capable of absorbing the life force of other living humanoid beings at arm's length. And they can basically steal an attribute from a victim. Steal mutations from another mutant. And they can heal someone else's trauma. Okay, that's kind of cool. So parasite. And this is going to be Yasan. Oops. Oh, I should put here Stalker, not Yasan. So I'm going to put here green on Pontiac, so I'm kind of remembering that this is the person I like. And Yasan's getting an angry red. I'm red-green colorblind, so those aren't, like, they shouldn't be too close together, those two shades. I'll do that green. That's easier for me to see, to make it, tell the two apart. Okay. And that's where I'm going to leave it. So, yeah, Yasan's insisting to come along. I think doesn't trust me as a stalker. With, you know, they've got one stalker in their group, but, you know, kind of stalkers always want to know about, like, exploring the zone. And I think Yasan, there's some thinking about mapping the way to this other zone, so making sure we can find it again. And I think Yasan doesn't want to miss out on this, because Yasan probably hasn't seen this arc before and is a bit surprised it's there. So definitely there's another stalker who wants to come along and is insisting, and I'm a bit like, fuck, I hate this guy. Why is he coming? Great. But that's where we're leaving it. So yeah, that's been kind of interesting. I'm gonna be looking at Ironsworn, as I said before, the next time I do one of these, and I'm gonna try and maybe see about having some sort of way of handling sort of some social encounters in a way that's a little bit more interesting. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's me done. So that was kind of interesting. I'm kind of happy I managed to get some use out of this Deep Blue Sea compendium as well. But everyone who is watching in chat, thanks very much. I actually have some very, very interesting news to announce for the next week's episode. This is going to be the last episode before Christmas. I'm going to take at least a couple of weeks off before coming back. And I've actually, continuing with this solo theme, I've been doing a lot of design work lately and been looking at how to include or to think about solo play while designing a game, because it's becoming more and more popular, and I think thinking about it up front and trying to include it in some way in your design is a smart thing to do. We've seen it with some of the Free League stuff. We just saw one of the stretch goals for Twilight 2000 was to include solo rules in the core, which got unlocked. So we're going to be seeing some official solo rules included in Twilight 2000. I'm using Mutineers Solo, which is this game by Peter, or this supplement by Peter Rudin Burgess. And yeah, I've been thinking a lot about it, and what I've decided is I wanted to actually do another interview on the channel. And so for next week, I'm going to be, I was originally thinking about maybe only asking one person, but I've now expanded it. I'm going to be asking a bunch of people, and I've already had 3 people confirm, but I'm asking a bunch of people who are people who create solo games or solo content for games, to come on and have like a little round table. And so that's going to be next week. I'm going to have a solo round table, a solo gaming round table with people who are all people who create these games. And I don't want to announce exactly who's coming. I guess I can announce who it has confirmed already. So I've mentioned Peter already, Peter Rudin Burgess, who's the guy who created Mutineers Solo. He's going to be coming along. John Lopez, who's known as Solo_RPG on Twitter, has a big Patreon and is producing a ton of solo content. He's coming on. Chris Bissett, who is the writer of The Wretched, he's going to be coming on. And I've asked a couple more people as well who I'm waiting to confirm on. So those are all people who've created and are selling solo games out in the wild. I've financially supported all of them already. In fact, everybody I've asked to come on are people I'm familiar with who have created physical stuff that I've bought. So I'm kind of sticking with people I know. There's a ton of people doing like very cool creative stuff in the solo scene right now, but I'm kind of sticking with the people I know. So hopefully before by the time next week comes around, I'll have a little bit more to talk around with that. But in the meantime, just wanted to kind of tie it into this session here and say, in fact, I'll just quickly check on my Discord to see if anybody else is confirmed, so I can announce it now, because there are I think a couple more people I'm waiting on. No one else is confirmed yet. That's fine. So yeah, at least those three, maybe a couple more. And the idea is we're gonna talk. I'm gonna ask them about their process for designing for solo play. Talk about kind of techniques and things like that. I might ask them for tips. Talk about my campaign now and say, what's the best way for handling social encounters within solo roleplay, and what are some good resources towards it that can maybe help. That sort of thing. And I'm also going to, the idea is to get them to talk individually about like what they're working on and their design process, but also to kind of get a conversation going amongst them to kind of talk about some of the other topics and themes within solo role-playing. And the idea as well is to have some people in chat also asking questions. So I'm actually going to open the floor to Discord and ask people if they have any questions for this roundtable to let me know in advance, so we can kind of build that into the question and answer format that I'm going to be doing. And then we're also going to like take questions live from the chat when it's happening as well. So I'm quite excited about that, because I'm going to be able to talk to some people that I've kind of been using their products, or I've supported them in the past. So it's always nice to talk to people that you kind of have spent money on, like people that creating things that you're using. So yeah, that's gonna be next week. I'm very much looking forward to that. And then after that, it's gonna be a Christmas break. So thanks very much for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the like button, as that helps to grow the channel. And if you've got any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. There's a Discord channel, which you can see in the bar at the bottom here, which is probably the place that's most active for the community I'm building around this channel. So if you're a Discord user, please head over there and say hello. That's me. I'm going to take off, so thanks very much, and catch you next week for this roundtable. Bye-bye.